A man accidentally ate a red apple. He immediately felt dizzy. A pair of enormous antlers suddenly sprouted from his head. He desperately tried to pull them off, but no matter what he did, he was powerless to remove them. As he wrestled with his new predicament, he stumbled upon a tree with green apples hanging from its branches. The sight of the tempting apples was too much for him to resist, and he took a bite. Immediately, the antlers fell off. It turned out that the apples were the antidote. The man suddenly understood everything. He picked a basket of apples, ready to return and exact his revenge on the princess. Not long ago, this man had been just an ordinary soldier. That day, his luck was especially bad. He kicked a pile of cow dung, which flew straight into the wife of the commander's mouth. As a result, he was immediately thrown into prison. While he was losing his mind in the cell, a little mouse suddenly scurried out from under his bed. It told him that a treasure capable of changing his fate was hidden in a drawer. The man, half doubting, went to investigate. After rummaging around for a while, he pulled out a shiny deck of playing cards. At that moment, the prison guard delivering food was drawn to the glow. To everyone's amazement, no matter what terrible cards he drew, as soon as he slapped them down on the table, the card values instantly increased. After a few rounds, he had won money, earned property, and eventually won his freedom. The prison guard stood there, his jaw hanging open in shock. Once out of prison, the man started doing business with the cards on the streets. He easily made his first fortune, but he wasn't satisfied, so he challenged the local officials. Without surprise, the official lost badly. Soon, word of this reached the king, who immediately summoned him to the palace. After a few rounds of games, even the king lost, his face turning pale. Terrified, he knelt and begged for mercy. To the man's surprise, the king's eyes lit up, and he ordered him to gamble with the ruler of a neighboring kingdom to win back the territory the king had lost. Sure enough, the man completed the task with ease. The king became very fond of him, even awarding him a medal. The princess secretly fell in love with him too. However, this caused the ministers to become insanely jealous, and they fabricated lies to frame him. As a result, the princess began to doubt him. After the banquet, the man returned home drunk out of his mind, while the princess took the opportunity to exchange a cup of wine for his magical card. Meanwhile, the ministers kidnapped him and threw him off a cliff. When he awoke, he found himself lying in a valley, surrounded by wild fruits. This is where the story began. He disguised himself as a fruit vendor and quietly made his way back to the palace. He happened to run into an elderly maid, who took a few bites of the apple and instantly became youthful again. She was so shocked she nearly jumped out of her skin and hurried to tell the princess. The princess was crying over the loss of her horses, but upon seeing the maid's transformation, she wasted no time buying all the apples and ate them all in one go. The next second, the maid was so frightened she fainted, because two enormous antlers grew from the princess's head. The king called upon all the famous doctors, but no one could solve the problem. At this moment, the man disguised himself as a doctor, blending into the group of physicians. He pretended to check the princess's pulse, taking the opportunity to retrieve the magical deck of cards, and then handed her a green apple. The princess took a bite, and the antlers immediately vanished. She stood up, eating the rest of the apples, and even her figure became more enchanting. The man was completely stunned, and he removed his disguise, revealing his true identity. The misunderstanding was immediately cleared up, and they embraced each other once more. The king heard the commotion and rushed in. Seeing this, he finally broke into a satisfied smile. The magical deck of cards had completed its mission, ready to change the fate of the next unlucky soul.